Hello, everybody. We are with Debbie Civil today, and I narrated her book called Ainsley. Um, so I wanted to introduce Debbie because I think she's really special. She's very cool. She was fun to work with, and she has a special trait that is actually a strength, and that is she is blind. So I just am fascinated. I think this is like perfect for showing everybody that has disabilities, they can do anything they want. So here we are with Debbie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Thank you. So, what inspired you to start writing books?
In sixth grade, I had actually, it was back to the third grade, actually. I read this book, Sarah Plain and Tall, and I was really mad. I read like the first book, but my teacher didn't communicate. I think it's a series. And I just wanted to know how, like, what happened with like the stepmother. And the teacher was like, well, if you really want to know so bad, write your own story. And I said, you know what? So I just created my own story, and from there, I just absolutely adored writing stories more than I did recess. Like you couldn't get me away. Like I'd be like, oh, can I just skip recess and write? And then they'd have to bribe me and say, Debbie, just go to recess. It's fun. No, but I want to write. So I always try to get out of it.
I love it. That is awesome. Do you have a lot of support with that?
So my sister Nay, she also did my makeup because I definitely had way too much sun the other day, and she did like also has a channel on YouTube. She's super supportive. She doesn't really like to read, but she'll read my stuff and then she'll tell me, oh, I like this book. Her favorite series is a series I like stopped working on in my early 20s. I completely just ditched it. But she's like, when's the next book coming out? And I'm like, yeah, I ditched this a long time ago. But like she's very supportive. My parents are very supportive. Definitely. So that's definitely, but yeah, it's a one woman show when it comes to like doing all the research and stuff like that.
Well, you did an amazing job on your book. I was actually very impressed. You know, being a writer and an author myself, I'm pretty picky. So I was very, very impressed with how well it was written structurally and everything. So you did an amazing job. I'm just absolutely fascinated. I have a friend that's blind too. So, and I didn't know when I actually auditioned for your book that you were blind, of course, but it was really cool because it made me very curious about your process, you
Oh,
know?
the process is okay, so there's one or two things I do. So Bride Stock on Portum Island. I like writing very gory, very like fantasy. I like writing all sorts of things like that. My friend doesn't read that, and she's also blind. And she was like, "Can you write something for me?" And I'm like, "Oh, what do you like to, you know, read?" She goes, "I love mail order bride books. You've got to work on one of those." And I was like, "What?" So I read a couple, and I'm like, "I'll write this for you, but this I don't know." So I wrote Esperanza, and then she's like, name her Esperanza. I'm like, why? She's like, well, the book is for me, right? So I said, okay. It's not even her name, but she just likes the name. So I wrote the book. I wrote the book and I emailed it to her. She just like loved it and goes, you have to publish this. This is great. I was like, sure, I suppose. She goes, what do you mean you suppose? Be enthusiastic. I'm like, I like things with like magic and sword play. This is just not my thing, but okay. So I published the first book. Um, Back then I wasn't really good at putting myself out there. I'm actually kind of like an introvert and pretty shy, so most people didn't really know about it until I uh, uploaded it on Smashwords and made it a free book, and that's when I realized, oh, this book isn't so bad. So I wrote a second one because my friend asked for a second one. So pretty much the series didn't, you know, wouldn't have worked if it wasn't for her just going, yeah, yeah, yeah. Name this other one Teresa. I like that name. You know what I mean? So,
That is
but
so
yeah,
awesome. That is really cool that you did that for your friend. How did you end up liking it, even though it was for your friend? You
I heard
serious?
it on Audible. That's when I was sold. I worked with a narrator and I said, oh, this isn't so bad. So the first couple of books. And then I was like, oh, okay, so book 5, it's in the South. So I'll put that out there. And then you got it, which made me really excited because I was skeptical of Ainsley only because it's like a slow burn type. I'm not sure of myself type of romance, and I'd haven't written one of those before. So that was interesting.
Well, you did a great job, and you really supported the main character very well. I think personally, your other characters that were supporting absolutely made it rich, and the main character is richer because of it. You know, and it was really interesting because when I asked you at some point about this very thing, you were like, "This whole book was a downer for me." And your response was, um, well, it's because she's just like so negative or something about herself and others and, whatever. I can't remember your exact response, so correct me. But I was just,
I was like, she's so negative, and she always feels sorry for herself, is what I thought in my head. I'm like, she's always like, well, Patrick doesn't think I'm worth anything, and my parents left, and she tried to act like her sister was the one that handled it wrong, which is like, no, you're worse.
well, it was an awesome, awesome book. I loved it. In fact, I loved it so much, I bought all of your other books so I could read them before the next book comes out, so I love the books. You did a great job.
I know you
It's
said that
wholesome.
Teresa was your favorite the couple, right? Teresa and Thomas.
Oh yes. Tessa and Thomas are absolutely freaking hilarious. Just not because they try and be funny, but just because of their characters, and so it just had me cracking up. So hence I sent her a lot of bloopers because I would get so tickled and start laughing. So one of the things that I would love to talk about, if it's okay with you, is your audiobook process.
My audiobook process. Okay. Um, so what I do is I like putting them on YouTube because I realize there's like a bigger audience for it. And that really does help me understand more about like what people like listening to. So it begins with I write a manuscript and I write it on my computer. I type and I use a software called JAWS. It's like a screen reading software. So I type it up. And then what I'll do is I'll save the file and send it to my Kindle app on my iPhone, and I'll listen to it and be like, okay, book is good enough. I like it. I like it. I want to hear it on Audible. So then I'll go to ACX. That's the
Right.
website you would want to go to find one, and then I'd make a profile for my book, and then I choose a narrator based on the auditions. I really liked yours, and I was like, oh, this is perfect. Um, the funny thing is, I had somebody else in mind at first, and I tried it. It didn't work. And then I was like, oh, great. I have to go back to the drawing board.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Oh, that's too bad. Well, I'm glad I got to get involved because I really loved it. I enjoyed working with you. You're great to work with. Um, all of that kind of stuff. What fascinated me is when, I would get done with the chapters and I'd put them up. And I asked you about this before, but I'm not really sure I understand the answer. But it was awesome. I happen to think because I've got my blind friend, and I'm thinking, how does she actually review this and like find the timestamps and stuff, with her sight, with lack of sight, and be able to send me back, oh, at 2 minutes and 32 seconds, you missed this word or whatever it was. How do you have this memorized?
So what I do is, because I don't, for anyone that doesn't know, any iPhone you have has voiceover, and it's like you just have to set it up under accessibilities in your app. Um, so what I do is I play the whatever you send me. And then as soon as I hear something that like I'm like, oh, okay, there were two ands here. I'll pause, listen to the timestamp on the phone, and then I'll go back into the manuscript and I will seriously like I'd follow up with like I'd do a, oh, okay, let's do a find command. So I'll find the sentence and then I'll find it that way.
Wow. I am doubly impressed because that is quite the process. And you just did it. You just do this. This is just amazing to me. You're very inspirational. Very
Oh, thank you.
inspirational.
It's all about trying to figure out what makes things work because I want to accomplish things. I want to try to get these books out there. I'm just like, okay, so what process is easiest for me?
Yeah. Well, you did an amazing job. That's for sure. How many books do you think is in this series, or you think is going to be in this series?
I really don't know. I think I'm gonna write till I can't write no more. Like literally, I got Presley's book, and then two friends. It's gonna be like one girl that's like super clumsy, and then her best friend. Then I want to, if like people are interested, write about those troublesome Atom boys and give them mail order brides.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, they're troublemakers, and I don't know if you've read the books yet, but Brad and Emma, I think it's Brad. I'm terrible with names, even my own characters. They were horrible, and then Emma left him, and well, that's what. Oops, that's a spoiler. Like, yeah.
Oops.
So
Well,
like,
this is
it's
about
gonna be
Ainsley,
interesting.
so
Yeah, this is about Ainsley. This book doesn't come out yet, so like, so I think all the Adams boys, their mother is so sick of them causing trouble in people's relationships. In this book, you definitely see like um Kevin's so untrusting because one of his girlfriends left him for his best friend, and all the best friend wants is forgiveness. And at first, I had it that they were singing that he hired someone to go sing an apology song, and it was to Justin Bieber's "Sorry."
that was so awesome though. It's just too bad you had to like take that out just in case
Just in
somebody.
case you don't want to get in trouble with
Yeah.
copyright.
Yeah, you did a great job there, and you did a good segue to that too. So I do hope you do that one because those boys, that could be rather comical actually, with getting them mail order brides.
They were really funny to write. I just wanted to picture like I got the inspiration for them because I was like, oh my goodness, like all these people always talk about someone that looks like one of those Greek beach gods and stuff like that in
Uh,
supernatural books. And I'm like, what if that happened for real? But they look like boy band members instead.
well, how do you have any questions for me that you'd like to ask?
Definitely. How did you first get into this whole narration thing? That's fascinating to me.
It's kind of funny because I've done audio and like for courses and also documentary kind of things and just a bunch of different types of tutorials and stuff. But then it was kind of funny because when I started doing my own books and hiring my own narrator, I got an amazing narrator that is in the UK, and he's been in the radio business and for I don't know 35 years, radio sound for whatever 35 years, and he was the lead singer in the Misfits, and I mean he just had such a rich background. I didn't realize it at the time, but we hit it off as far as just a great working relationship. And he said, man, he said, your voice is amazing. He said, do you do podcasts and things? And I was like, I've never done a podcast in my life. So, and he says, well, if you do, let me know, and we'll get you interviewed on the show. And he says, but you really need to think about doing some voice work or something. And he said, I used to own, I think it was 3 radio stations. And he said, I would do anything to get your voice. And
Oh, I totally agree. You're great.
thank you. And so he kept encouraging me, and I was like, well, I'll think about it. But I was kind of in my book series at the time, and but then some things happened in life, and it was just like, well, maybe this is a good time to try it, you know. But I thought, nah, I won't do it again. Nah, it's okay. I'll just finish this. I'll write this book, I'll write this book series because it's going to be a big, really big series. So, and then he said, I asked him though, because he's been doing this for a very long time. I said, have you ever thought about, doing coursework and mentorships for people to pass on your legacy? Because he's just amazing. And he said, no, I actually really have never thought about that. Well, long story short, when I decided to give the audio book stuff a try, we were talking, and that was when I decided to do it. He's like, I'll mentor you. And it was like, okay, thank
Wow.
you.
So
And he's,
amazing.
over time, we've kind of developed this really amazing friendship. So he was like, I'll mentor you. You're my friend, I'll help you get started. And he did. He just did an amazing job walking me through stuff. And then I built this whole DIY sound booth and and
Oh wow, that's crazy. The
yeah,
DIY stuff, man. That's insane. I'm
yeah.
impressed. That's a lot.
It was very honestly, it was very overwhelming because ACX has very stiff standards.
Oh yeah, they do. I've gotten
Mhm.
books like they sent back. They're like, there's too much background noise, and then it's like there wasn't that much. Oh, I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, but they go in on a deep level because depending on a lot of times people will have noise canceling equipment or earbuds or whatever, and it's not an issue. But those that don't or have sensitive ears, they want it production quality so that so it was really interesting. And all the macros and things for processing audio, it were made for men. So I had to go through and learn a lot of technical stuff just so I could adjust everything to a mid-range woman, because I don't have a real high voice like most women do, but I don't have a male voice either. So I never fit in any of the criteria, the macros that were already made. So I had to make my own and everything. So,
You were different, but unique works for you. That's good.
yeah, it's the only thing I can be, me. So just
Yeah,
like
be
it's only,
yourself.
huh?
Oh yeah, so it's important to be yourself.
Yes, for sure. For sure. So, what other types of books do you write, other than, you said you wrote fantasy? Do you have,
Fantasy, sci-fi, my favorite series.
well, it looks like we've lost her. She was having technical issues before we started, and she couldn't get back. So I didn't get to ask her all of the questions I wanted to ask her because I was so curious. But she's so fun. And thank you for joining us. This is all about her book, Ainsley, Bride's Dock on Portum Island, book 5 in her series. And she, from what I understand, and when there's 4 more for sure, because she asked me to do the next 4. And so anyway, so there's more coming. Presley, I know, is next on the list, and I'm looking forward to that because she's actually one of the main characters in Ainsley. So I'm excited to get the rest of the story there. So anyway, I hope you guys create an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.